Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look at the 1997 Donruss football card set. Donruss had an interesting start in football because they didn't show up in football until sort of in 1995, but really in 1996. And for those of us in football, we didn't really know what to expect about Donruss because they were one of the baseball card companies to the tune of they were one of the big three. And in the world of baseball, they were kind of the innovative company. Not that all the innovations came from them, but they were that company that had just been kind of edgy for the whole baseball market for years. That's what they were known for. But football was really the innovation area in sports cards. And so when Donruss showed up in 1996, what we saw was not a good representation of the company. It was a pretty lackluster card. The way the card design was crafted, it just didn't stand out. It looked like they hadn't figured out what the football card market already knew extremely well. So we didn't know how to read it. And thankfully in 1997, they would really get things tuned right and have a card that was very distinct and strong. But then they disappeared the very next year. So we only had these 2.5 years for Donruss cards, which is really strange. But that's how it went with Donruss. So the 1997 design for Donruss was very simple. It was two team color bands that faded away to nothing, and they merged together at a silver foil box where they have a logo. A little bit of text there. This card is all about focusing on the image, and the bold elements down in the corner have to work with a very, very strong image. And they did a good job of selecting images that worked well to really balance this card out, so it looked great. The card back had a nice quality to it, although it was a very, very lean card back. It didn't really have too much going for it. So you had to rely on the card front, but the card front did come out really well. Now, in 1996, we saw that they did have a parallel called Press Proof, where they had 2,000 copies of each card. Very understated. In 1997, they continued that with a design where they have silver foil over the surface of the card with a big radial pattern arraying out. Press-proof text on the side is another giveaway, and then on the card back, they say that these are numbered out of 1,500, so they're more rare than the parallel from the previous year. Only that's only partially the case because they actually had two versions of this with their press-proof gold cards. This uses gold foil instead of silver foil, but as you can very clearly see, they're die cut. That's the big thing about these cards, which makes them very distinct. There were very few die cut cards in the 1990s for main card sets, so this was pretty unique. A really nice curve right at the foil box down the corner. So that was a cool trait to it as well. And you'll notice that on the back, there are 500 cards printed for each one of these, which means between the two press proofs, there are 2,000 like the previous year. It's just they're split into two different groups. And this does go across the entire set. So in the case of the rookies, we have a card that is, well, there's almost nothing to the rookies. Obviously on the back, there are no stats because there's no reason to. They're not pros yet. Well, they're just becoming pros, but they don't have a career. And on the card front, they do have the word rookie on it, but the big thing is the fact that they use the rookie photo shoot images, so they look very distinct from the rest of the set. But that's it. There are no subsets in the card set. They do, however, have checklist cards that are done with the picture of a player on the front. So they have their own collectability to it. Again, the parallels go with these as well. So it's kind of a pinnacle-like set. That's kind of the spirit to how this card set came across. And that was what they did for the main set. But Donruss liked to put its focus into their inserts. Even though Fleer was the insert company, Donruss invested in inserts for more of, not as much about lots of inserts as much as making really, really good special inserts that people want to collect, especially with serial numbers. And this dates all the way back to 1991 when they did their first Donruss Elite card set, which just revolutionized baseball in terms of nobody followed it, but it created a gold standard that everybody now had to measure themselves to, and they were quickly working to try to reach the level of what Donruss had created with that card set. So Donruss Elite became their big brand to really kind of define them in the 1990s. And by 1997, they were still doing Donruss Elite. In the case of football, this is the way the design worked. It has a silver metallic finish around the border with a mottled texture to it, it's a really nice, elegant look. The blue foil on this card just looks great. The way that it comes through is a great treat to the card. And you'll notice that on the card back, these are numbered out of 5,000. They're all individually serial numbered. Rainbow hollow or a gold hollow foil looks really nice. But they also did a parallel to this, which is their gold elite cards. And the gold cards have gold instead of silver. The blue is replaced with red foil. So still really, really good looking. The way that the card front looks doesn't have the elegance that that some of the previous elite cards had, but still looks really good. And these cards are all serial numbered out of 2,000. But you may run across these cards as promo cards. Now, the promo cards are identical in every way. There's nothing different about the promo cards. It's just that on the back, they have a black print that says promo and then the serial number equivalent. So that is something you might want to look out for. If you are trying to seek these cards, they do have promo versions. You got to check the serial number in every single case. Now, they also did an insert set called Legends of the Fall. This is a card that's kind of like the Diamond Kings cards for the football market here in 1997, where they have art for these legendary players. They don't have any foil on the card front, which allows the card front to work as a cohesive whole. It doesn't have anything fighting the artistic look of the painting. On the card back, however, this is where they put all the fanciness, where these cards really do have a wonderful spirit to them. The way that it comes across really looks great. And you'll notice that these cards are very much not common. There are 10,000 copies of each. Each is serial numbered. Although I do have to note, for any of the cards that are numbered 1 through 500 out of 10,000, the first 500 cards all come with a canvas surface on the card. They have the texturing of canvas, which is a really good feel, but it's the kind of card that it doesn't really show up too well in photos. So it can be difficult to recognize the surface finish on the cards. Even for me, it was difficult to get it to photograph well. So that's the first 500 out of the whole 10,000. So 1 out of every 20 cards has the canvas effect on it. So that's something that you would definitely want to put a little bit of extra effort into making sure that you double check on it. Then they have an insert set called Passing Grade. This is an oversized, or it is an extra thick card. It has a notebook-like design theme to the design. Has some red foil that's tucked into the card. You don't really see it too well. They are all numbered out of 3,000, so these are a lot more rare to come by. And you might notice there's a notch up at the top. And the notch is because inset into the card is a separate card of the same player, which is in a football shape. That's the design of the inset card. The inset cards are not serial numbered, so they allow just the exterior card to maintain that. The cards can be treated separately, but really they do come as a package. So it was kind of a playful card that they added here with Passing Grade. Now, I mentioned that Donruss Elite was the definer of Donruss for the 1990s. Well, in the 80s, that was Diamond Kings and it was Rated Rookies. And so with Rated Rookies, that became an insert set. And by 1997, we saw that there are rookies in the regular set. Rated Rookies is just an insert set. These cards are so gorgeous. I mean, the team color effect on the background that works as a backdrop to that wonderful holofoil is just such a great and really elegant look to the cards. Love how they come across. The backs also have a pretty good look to them. And you'll notice these are not serial numbered. So they're cards that are a lot more rare. But the thing is that these cards come with parallels, not just one. They come with 2 parallels. The first parallel is called Medallions. And Medallions has the whole card surface is brushed metal. It's not quite Dufex, but it has a really rich quality to the way that it comes across that counterpoints with the gold holofoil that replaces the silver holofoil. These cards likewise are not serial numbered, which is kind of interesting that they weren't serial numbering these parallels. But the cards also came with a press-proof parallel as well. The big distinguisher of the press-proof cards is they have that band right across the middle that almost makes it feel like something removed from the print run. Otherwise, the cards, they are not going to be confused, but you do want to look for the band if you're trying to determine, is it actually the press-proof cards? Regardless, there's enough on here to let you know. The last insert set they have is called Zoning Commission, and this is a card that is both really bright and flashy and very subdued because the card's surface is a holofoil mirror surface, and that means that the card, it overpowers very quickly. It has some nice elements to it, but it is definitely a card that the subtlety is not its strong suit, but the clarity of the detailing also is not very strong to it. So yeah. So on the back, these cards are serial numbered out of 5,000, but interestingly, this is the black print. This is not the holofoil that we saw with virtually everything else. It looks very different. It's interesting, but this is definitely an insert that feels like a tack-on. And that is the 1997 Donruss set. Like I said, we wouldn't have a 1998 Donruss set. This was the end of the road for Donruss for the meantime, so we just got the two sets. But this is a pretty good set. It definitely showed that Donruss was getting into the rhythm of making late 90s cards that could hold up, certainly in the football card market, brief as it was. So that's going to bring this to a close. I'll pick up with the next Donruss set eventually. We're obviously not going to be doing it here. So I have already done a video of the 95 and the 96 set. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go check that out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I do urge you to do so, and thank you very much for watching.